How's it going, everyone? It's been a while since you've seen Justin and my face on our YouTube channel here at Harley-Davidson of Indianapolis, but today Justin and I decided it was too nice a day and we couldn't not ride motorcycles, so we decided to take out a Sport Glide and a Heritage and just see what the differences were, see what we liked and didn't like about them. A quick refresher, my name's Connor. I'm the marketing director over here at Harley-Davidson of Indianapolis. I've been riding for all of about 18 months, so I am fairly new, if not very new at this. So my stuff might be a little bit more rudimentary. My partner Justin here got quite a bit longer behind bars.
Yeah, my name's Justin. I'm a fit specialist here at HD of Indy. I've been riding about 4 or 5 years. It's just completely taken over my life, and I couldn't be happier with it.
First things first, the Heritage. Like I said, kind of a new rider for me. So this was, I don't want to use the word intimidating because that's not the right word, but it's definitely one of the larger bikes I've ridden early on. I know the standard progression's typically what, like Sportster, small Softail into touring.
Sportster, Softail, touring is typically what we see.
Yeah, typically what we see. So this was really my first time getting on a cruiser touring, larger Softail for a long amount of time. And let me tell you, for me personally, new rider, loved it. The floorboards changed the game for me. This thing feels really, really light when you're riding it. What do you think?
Oh yeah, that Softail frame, the suspension, the way everything kind of sits when you're going down the road, is definitely keeping it light and nimble going down the road. I mean, it's a nice kind of way to get something that you can go a little bit more distance on without having all the weight of a touring bike.
Yeah, and as someone who's really comfortable on a Sportster or a Street Bob, I know the Heritage frame is the same as the Street Bob frame, maybe a little bit more weight. You got the bags in the back, but honestly, this thing feels oddly similar, if not a little bit more docile than the Street Bob, the new Street Bob 114, obviously. It's no secret I'm kind of a speed demon, so I'm a really big fan of the 114. A little bit of change of pace with the 107, but you don't really ever feel like you're lacking for power. It's light enough to where you still have the up and go and nimble enough to where you can avoid those Indiana potholes.
Yeah, the power to weight ratio on the Softail frame is definitely pretty desirable.
I don't know, what did you like about the Heritage?
What I like about the Softail Heritage versus the Heritage 114 is I actually really like the chrome. I like the totally clear windshield. Just kind of gives it that more classic styling. It's not trying to take something that's classic and put a more modern twist on it. I like kind of that more retro feel to it.
You were a big fan of the Electric Glide Revival. I remember that.
I was a big fan of the Revival. It was pretty damn nice.
Yeah. And with that Heritage you've got the classic looks. I agree, chrome is definitely growing on me. I was definitely a blacked out kind of guy earlier on in my career / experience here at Harley. But I'm really starting to grow to enjoy the chrome. But I like the addition of the modern amenities with this Heritage. Like the LED headlights are really nice. You never really feel like nobody can see you, or I don't know about you, but like I started driving in a 98 Civic and like those headlights were terrible. And when you have one headlight that has 3 times the viewing power than my old car did, like it just, I don't know, makes you feel a little bit more seen.
Yeah, not to mention the LED passing lamps on the side too. I mean, it's just that little bit of added extra light. Help you see while you're going down the road and help people see you while you're going down the road.
Yeah, for sure. And the last thing I want to touch on is really just the styling of the Heritage. I can tell you from my point of view, like I said, coming in 2 years ago, I was much more of a modern. I would have preferred the style of the Sport Glide to the Heritage, but like there's something about just a classic Harley-Davidson frame and just look. And like, you'll see it riding down the street, especially with this billiard teal color. People just stare when you've got something that is just iconically Harley-Davidson. What do you think?
Yeah, and then even to add to that, being able to remove that back seat and rock just the solo seat in the back for the rider it adds even more to that kind of retro styling. 'Cause when you look back at old Harleys, they generally have a solo seat on them.
All right, Justin, we've talked a little bit about what we like about the Heritage. What don't you like about this motorcycle?
Personally, for me, it's the black kind of molded in studs on the seats and the bags. It's not my style. I think it'd have been a little better off with the old Buffalo nickel style studs, if you're gonna have studs at all. Keep them classic.
Yeah, I agree. On a motorcycle like this, the more classic, the better. Yeah. Definitely the more classic, the better. So for me personally, like I said earlier, you know me, I'm kind of a speed demon, straight line as fast as I can. I'm always going to prefer the 114 to the 107. The 107 definitely has its place. I could also see myself putting a stage 3 into the 107 and being just fine on power. But really the big detractor for me on this motorcycle has got to be the saddlebags. For as awesome as the one-touch saddlebags are, and as great as that has kind of been since Harley debuted those a couple years ago, I just don't understand why the Heritage saddlebags are the way they are. I think we even saw it kind of riding back, like one just decided it had a mind of its own and the lid came open. Yeah, so they're a little counterintuitive. Instead of pressing down, you got to kind of press in, and it doesn't feel right. And then, like I kind of said, it's easy for those things to get loose, especially if you're on a long trip and you're filling those things up to capacity. It doesn't take a lot to get those things loose. So for me personally, saddlebags are kind of a big detractor. And for someone who's looking to get into more longer rides, that is definitely something I would be taking into account when buying my next motorcycle. But overall, I think we both agree the Heritage is chef's kiss, as I like to say.
Yeah, it is a great motorcycle. It's nice if you're looking to do a little bit of longer riding but don't want a huge heavy bike like a touring model. The Heritage is that nice kind of middle ground.
It is super versatile in what it can do and what you feel comfortable doing. I know sometimes with like a Road Glide or a Road Glide Special, or I mean a Road Glide Limited even, it kind of feels like overkill to take it on a 10-minute ride because it's just so heavy. You just don't feel that way with a Heritage at all.
Yeah, just zipping down to the gas station for a drink or something, I mean, getting on a Road Glide can be a little cumbersome on the way, just for something short like that.
Yeah, so this thing can do it all. But yeah, after our ride, and really, I mean, Jess and I both love the Heritage. What do we think about the Sport Glide here?
You know, I'm becoming more and more of a fan of it every time I ride it. Not quite my style, but it is a very nice ride. The forward controls are good for tall people like me, so it's a nice, comfortable riding position. And most of the stuff that I don't like comes right off, and you don't even have to have it. So
yeah. So I'm glad you brought up forward controls, because boy, oh boy, do I hate myself some forward controls, Justin. I got short legs, everyone, as you can tell by me standing next to Justin. I am not the tallest of gentlemen, so I very much prefer my mids. But I think you touched on the other piece I really like about this motorcycle is it's so incredibly versatile. You don't like the mini fairing up front, you take it off. You don't like the hard saddlebags in the back, you take it off. You want to go on a day or two long ride, you put the saddlebags back on. And this thing can be, it's kind of like a Lego make it what you want, create 3-in-1 motorcycle.
Yeah, there's a lot of room to customize and kind of make it into your own. Whether it be just taking off the quick detachable stuff, changing handlebars, changing exhaust and stuff. I mean, there's a ton that you can do with the Sport Glide to kind of make it your own and make it fit you and your needs a little bit better.
Yeah, let's talk about the adjustable suspension right there. So easy.
Yeah, so just like the Fat Bob and the Fat Boy, you can just reach down and adjust that rear suspension with just a turn of a knob. I mean, it couldn't be any easier than that. Definitely makes for going from doing a long ride and wanting a little bit softer suspension to, all right, we got where we're going and now we're gonna go hit the switchbacks and tighten that suspension back up. It makes it super easy to do. It kind of goes in with that sport touring. You can go a little bit longer, a little bit further away, and then tighten that thing up so you can actually go do what you're intending to do.
100%. And I can't speak highly enough. I know I'm gonna get in trouble from the Harley-Davidson YouTube police, but like, the Softail frame is better in every way over the Dyna frame. I'm sorry. I know that we've got our Dyna fans. You ride a Dyna. But if we're talking about the experience and the comfort and the accessibility and the customization options with the Softail frame, it's hard to disagree that the Softail frame isn't better across the board. That being said, we have a lot of Dyna riders here. I definitely do love myself a little Dyna. It's kind of like the wooden roller coaster versus metal roller coaster. Like you don't go to an amusement park for all the new stuff. Sometimes you want to get beat up by the wooden roller coaster a little bit, and that's what riding a Dyna is like versus Softail. It's just, I mean, sometimes you just want the true Harley-Davidson kind of rough riding experience, and you got to respect that. But yeah, when it comes to the Softail frame, both of these motorcycles are awesome, and they've got it. I do prefer the way the layout is on the Sport Glide. Just because of the accessibility of the of changing the suspension settings, and then also I really like the badging of the Sport Glide. It's entirely unique. There's not a single other motorcycle in the lineup that has the painted on Harley-Davidson badging like the Sport Glide. So Justin, this year, the 2021 model, they decided to start painting the saddlebags. What do you think about that as far as the styling and aesthetics of this bike?
I think it improved it 1,000 times. That hard plastic finish on the saddlebags in previous years, which you can still get on the 21s, but why would you? The painted bags are really kind of helping bring the whole bike together as far as I'm concerned.
100%.
It makes it look more finished. I always thought that those plastic black finished bags always looked like the bike made the bike look like it was unfinished.
It made it look like Harley wanted you to take off the bags unless you absolutely needed them on. And now it's, you know what? You kind of like the finish with the bags, so like, why would I take them off? They don't get in the way. They're super helpful. Like, I mean, and they're finished. They look good. The badging looks awesome. I just think it was a great touch this year. So we've talked a bit about what we've liked about both motorcycles. We talked about what we didn't like with the Heritage. I'm going to start with what I don't particularly love about the Sport Glide, which I mentioned earlier. I guess their forward mid controls is technically what they are. They're not true forwards.
Oh, I don't remember what the actual term for them is, but yeah, they're not true forwards. They're just short of being an actual forward control. But
yeah.
they're not the further forward mids, but they're not a true forward control either. They're kind of in a weird limbo spot.
Yeah. So it's definitely a unique experience when you take this thing out on a ride if you're going to take other test rides and ride other motorcycles, because while it's easy to get used to, they're just in like enough of a different spot to where, like for me, again being a newer rider, going out on the Heritage with the floorboards and the true mids, and then coming back on the Sport Glide, it was a little bit challenging, at least out of the parking lot and into the first turn, just to get used to where my feet were and that kind of feel with turning. So for me, that's pretty much what I don't like about it. Everything else about this motorcycle, I'm a huge fan of, just because of the opportunity for you to create your own motorcycle. Like, it's just so unique in that aspect.
Yeah. Do I really need to get into what I don't like? I think everybody already knows. I already said it once.
The hard bags?
I cannot stand that little mini batwing fairing. Luckily though, it is quick detachable, it comes right off, and it looks great without it.
It does look great without it.
I'm not a huge fan of the clamshell style bags, but again, they're quick detach, they come right off, and it's one of the very few motorcycles in the lineup that when you take the bags off, it looks good. It doesn't leave a bunch of unwanted hardware behind. It doesn't leave any exposed brackets or anything like that. It looks like it could have came that way from the factory, and it's really nice that you can take them off and put them on as you please without having to change up a whole bunch of stuff. Other than that, I don't have a whole lot that I don't like about it.
So it's good to know everything you don't like can just easily be taken off.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the best things about it, is it's so versatile. Everybody can make it what they want. And if you don't like it, you can definitely change it and make it so you do.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, Justin, we've ridden them both. We've talked about them both. What's the consensus? Which one's for you?
I think after some slight modification, I think it's going to be the Sport Glide.
Wow.
I'm telling you, this is a great looking motorcycle once you take the bags and the little fairing off, which are nice to have so you can go on longer rides and stuff like that. Use it as that sport touring, and I do believe they even make taller windshields for the little mini fairing. So it's nice that you can have that if you want to go on a longer ride, but when you're just putting around town, running back and forth to work, going down to the gas station, being able to have all that stuff taken off and have just a motorcycle pretty well close to just two wheels and a motor, I'm a big fan of that.
I gotta be honest, Justin, I am shocked right now. When this bike first came in earlier this year, I don't think you could have said a single positive thing about it if I paid you. And now 6-7 months later, we've gotten to ride it a few times, and you would actually take it over the Heritage, which it's hard to argue with the reasoning, but for me, I gotta go Heritage. As somebody who just again, every day I appreciate the tradition and the look of old school Harley more and more. And I love that about the Heritage. The badging is awesome. The chrome finishes are awesome. It's lightweight. It's got as I spoke to earlier, getting into longer rides and enjoying longer rides a little bit more, I will take floorboards over pegs 10 times out of 10. Option for 1 or 2 seats. Take my wife on a ride, probably get her a backrest. Maybe not, I don't know. Like I said, the only thing I would change about the Heritage right now is the saddlebags. I think everything else about this bike, both in the 107 and in the 114, they just nail. It's one of the most versatile bikes in the lineup. I put it along the lines of the Street Bob, Heritage, and Road King are probably in order my 3 favorite motorcycles right now. These bikes are just fantastic in every way, shape, and form. Well, I think about does it. We got 1 vote for Sport Glide. Still shocked. Zoom in on the face, Connor, when you're editing, because this is a shocked face. And then we got 1 vote for the Heritage, which, again, if you would have asked me a year ago, the Heritage would not have been in my top 5 motorcycles that Harley manufactures. So this bike is just all sorts of fun. That bike is all sorts of fun and all sorts of customizable. I don't think you can go wrong with either one.
You really can't.
And especially you can't go wrong with stopping by HD of Indy on the weekend and taking Justin out for a test ride, because he just loves riding motorcycles and he's really good at it too. So, I mean, that's what we've been doing, just having fun riding motorcycles. And I think that's our cue. That's our cue. So thanks for tuning in, everyone. Let us know in the comments below if you want to see more comparison videos or more just videos like this in general, kind of a test ride and review. I certainly know it will not be difficult to convince Justin to continue doing these things with me. As long as it's not raining, we're down for a ride. And if you want to see more, let us know which bikes you want to see. Don't say the Pan America, because they're selling too fast. Yeah, so otherwise, thanks for tuning in. We look forward to seeing you next time.